Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Justin Colby, and on this video, we are gonna be talking about, is it a good time for millennials to be buying a home? And also, what I think are better investments for millennials right now. Check it out. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Justin Colby, and on this channel, I talk all things business, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Today, we're gonna be talking about real estate because quite literally, it's the biggest conversation that I can think of right now. With this entire world of investing, whether it's the stock market or crypto plummeting over the last 2 weeks, the real estate market continues to appreciate and to be almost impossible to buy a house. Now, if this is your first time to the channel, make sure you are smashing the like button for me because the YouTube gods really appreciate it and it shares this video with more people. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And lastly, make sure you hit the notification button so that you have notifications turned on when I drop videos. I drop 3 videos a week or more, so make sure you get those notifications when I do. Now let's just jump into the topic at hand is, should millennials be buying a home today in 2021? And lastly, at the end of this video, I'll share a little bit about what I think they should be doing with their money. Because ultimately, I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not believe millennials should be buying a home. Now, if that upsets you, you're pissed off, fine, leave the video, you don't have to like it, maybe put a thumbs down, I don't care what you do. But if you wanna listen to my reasoning here, I think you're gonna see that it actually makes sense, and I think you're actually gonna really like this video, and you're gonna wanna smash that like button again. All right, first, let's talk about the bubble. This bubble is crazy. There's no fundamental economic reasoning that makes sense on why this market continues to appreciate, and there simply is no inventory. So let's just reverse a little bit, talk about economics 101. When things have high demand and low supply, prices are gonna rise. That's what's happening right now. There is quite literally no supply across the country in almost every single city, and so the demand being as high as it is, because the interest rates being as low as they are, is creating this artificial inflation of the pricing in the housing economy. Now, there are some other micro influences that I do believe are completely, I don't want to say artificial, but they don't have the foundational economic reasoning such as supply and demand, and that is the actual world now is working virtual. So what does this mean? That means a lot of the people in the big cities like New York, San Francisco, Chicago, or otherwise can actually work from home, meaning they can actually live where they want to live. So cities and markets like I live in Phoenix, Arizona, or even a city that I want to go to, Miami, Florida, they are getting an influx of people leaving cities like San Francisco and New York. Well, the people that are leaving those cities tend to make a decent amount of money, and they're going and buying into markets that are less expensive. They can get bigger houses, more house, more yard, more land for a less price. So it makes anything that does hit the market immediately become purchased. Now, another point to this is the loan market. The rates continue to stay really, really low. And so this keeps some level of artificial inflation in pricing because now people can afford to buy a certain level of home. Now, when I wrap all of these points in there, the reason why I believe this number one point of why millennials should not be buying their first home or a home in general is because at the end of the day, the interest rates aren't a good reason to buy just because you can afford it. You still have to pay property taxes, you still have to maintain the home, and at the end of the day, you shouldn't buy something simply because you can afford it. It should absolutely be in a price threshold that you're not stretching to buy. When buying a home, mostly you can buy a home from anywhere from give or take 3% to 20%. And if you're trying to get away with putting 3% down because you can, and that's all the money you have, you're just putting yourself at financial risk. Here's the deal. We're in a bubble. We are at all-time high values for the real estate economy. When this market does reverse a little bit or a lot, you're gonna lose the valuation of that home. You're then gonna be in this situation that if anything goes bad for you, like maybe losing a job or otherwise, your value of the home is not at the price you bought it at because the economy rolled back. And now instead of being able to sell the property and make money, like so many people are doing today, you're now in a position a year, 2 or 3 years down the road where you're now going through a short sale or maybe even a foreclosure. You should not be buying a home at all-time highs, by the way, because the interest rate is low. You should be buying a home because financially you're making the right decision for you and your family, because quite honestly, it should be a way to save some money because you can have things like interest write-offs and tax write-offs to your income, and ultimately that should help you save some money because your income is so good that you need some tax write-offs. So point number one, the bubble and the potential market crash is number one reason you should not be buying a home. Point number two, this whole foreclosure and eviction moratorium. I have no idea what will ultimately happen, but being that I've been in real estate for over 14 years now, I have a pretty good gut feeling of what's gonna happen here. There are millions of people that have not been paying their rent. There are also millions of people that have not been paying their mortgage. And if you combine those two, there's going to be a massive issue. The banks are gonna have to foreclose on these individuals who are not paying their mortgage because some of them being landlords and their tenants are not paying them. Ultimately, the bank is gonna put these homes on the market, and ultimately that's gonna have an influx of supply. If you go right back to the beginning of this video, I talked to you about supply and demand. Well, right now there's no supply. If the moratorium for foreclosures gets lifted at any point in any moment, we will see banks having to foreclose on these individuals because they have not paid their mortgage in over a year, and that is going to be an influx in supply, and then all of a sudden you're not going to have so much demand because there's more opportunity out there. When there's influx of supply, that means the pricing goes down. So bring you back to point number one. If you're buying right now during the bubble, you're at an all-time high. If the banks start to foreclose on people because the foreclosure moratorium goes up, then you are going to have a price decrease in which you lose all of your value of your home. You likely will lose the equity that you paid down as a down payment. And in case you get in a hard time financially, when you want or try to sell your home, you're actually gonna be underwater, which makes you go through a short sale and or even foreclose on your own home. Now, I don't wanna bring in politics here, but I don't really know how the government's gonna handle this, because if people are getting foreclosed on and these people who are tenants are not paying their rent, I have no idea what the ultimate resolution is for the politics and the political sides to deal with all of these people who are ultimately going to be homeless. But at some level, we have to have some recognition of people aren't paying rent, people aren't paying their mortgage, and the banks have to be able to recoup their money. There are loans against these properties. And when these individuals, and why I'm shooting this video, are buying at an all-time high and then don't pay their mortgage, there are repercussions for this. So again, focusing on part number one and part number two, you don't buy because you're buying at the top of the bubble. There are going to be foreclosures that do come because there are a lot of people, millions of people not paying their mortgage right now. The banks will be foreclosing on them. It will increase the supply, which will bring prices down because there's too much supply. No one wants to pay top dollar, and investors like myself will want to come in and buy homes at a discount. And lastly, I want to start talking about renting versus homeownership. Now, for the majority of my adult life so far, I have been a renter. And the reason being is because it gave me flexibility. I didn't know exactly what market I was going to live in, where my business was going to grow. When I found my wife, was I going to move to her city? Was she going to move to mine? I had flexibility by renting, that I was not pot committed to that area by owning my home. That's part number one. I like the flexibility of renting. Part number two is renting ultimately is much cheaper to get into than owning a home. Just the down payment alone, usually anywhere from 3 to 20% of a home, is way more than your first month and last month for your rent. Now, I'll tell you, my CPA already is watching this thinking, oh yeah, but you don't get to write off the interest, you don't get to write off the taxes. At the end of the day, that shouldn't matter for a year or two. And if we're talking about this video right now, should millennials be buying? The answer is absolutely not, because you should be a better investor with your money than the whole American dream of owning a home with a white picket fence. I think that is old school, and in my opinion, that is way outdated. Now, if you're agreeing to any of this, I really hope you are, because it actually makes a lot of sense. Smash that like button and make sure to subscribe. So before I get into this last quick segment of what I actually think millennials should be investing their money in, which is coming up. So if you care about that, I want to make sure you stay here to the end. I want to kind of round up why I believe it'd be a terrible time for most millennials to be buying a home. First of all, we are at the top of the market. I actually think it's a bad time for everyone to be buying a home because the market is at an all-time high. Even myself, I am trying to buy a home out in Miami and I keep getting shot down, and I'm offering full asking price and I'm still losing out to people who are overbidding. It is incredible. I discourage everyone, even myself now. I'm taking a break because there's no way I'm going to be paying over market value. Number two, there will be foreclosures happening. Once the moratoriums get lifted, there will be foreclosures. The bank will bring those properties to market. It will bring a price reduction, and because there's more supply, and that will be a better time to buy. Number three, it takes a lot less money to get into a nice rental property than it does the nice home to buy, primarily because of supply and demand. The market is crazy on the sales side. You can go out and rent with a first month and a last month and a deposit, way cheaper of an investment out the gate. And ultimately, if you're just living there for a year, you're just doing that until there's a better time to buy. It's just not a good time to buy. All right, so now let's get to something fun that is my investment strategy and what I wish I would have done earlier. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing now, and hopefully you can take it and kind of feel it out if it makes sense for you. Now, at the end of the day, I believe in slowly investing, and you don't go out and cut some big massive check and then just go let it sit somewhere. So for me, I'm a better of the actual jockey. Who is running the company and what is it doing? So for example, cryptocurrency is absolutely everywhere right now. You have seen my previous videos. If you haven't seen my previous videos, you got to go back and watch those videos about cryptocurrency because they're actually really good. All right, so how I invest in cryptocurrency is I don't go out with all these altcoins. And I promise you, if you're a millennial, you know that there's this crazy altcoin slash fake coin slash meme coin that is going nuts right now. Dogecoin has led the wave with this, but there's so many other ones out there that are moving the needle and people are absolutely getting rich on. But they are fully focused on making this an actual business and or their income that they put everything into this. When I say investing, I tend to mean it by passively. So for example, over the last 7 to 10, 14 days, the cryptocurrency world has been obliterated, quite literally obliterated. I personally lost over 50% of my net worth just because of this crazy cryptocurrency situation. Now, has it rebounded slightly even as of today? Absolutely, but here's the thing. I didn't react in the way most people did by selling off. I actually bought more over the last 7, 10, 14 days. So I feel really, really good as it rebounded because I've already made 20, 30, 40% on the money I reinvested as it was at the low over the last 2 weeks or so. That is how I tend to invest. I do dollar cost averaging. I'm doing it for the long haul. I'm not doing it for the quick buck because ultimately I want to retire incredibly wealthy. So I'm not in it for the quick buck. If I was a millennial, and by the way, as a side note, I actually believe I'm born the last year of being considered a millennial. That's a kind of interesting side note there. But potentially as a millennial, I would really encourage everyone to start early. Should it be in cryptocurrency? Maybe, but also I love companies like Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Facebook, because they are going to be around for the long haul. If you're able to invest $10,000 in the next year, 2, 3 years, over time it will be way more money than if you wait till you're 40 years old like me and dump $10,000 into some account. You want to be doing it slowly. You want to be doing it consistently. Now, I've always been tomorrow's not guaranteed. Let's go live our life. Let's go have fun. At the same time, over the last 10 years, I've been investing in my future. And this is actually why I have such a great cryptocurrency account, is because I've made investments over time. It wasn't just one-time investment. So my actual investing philosophy is there are good times to invest and there are bad times to invest. If you're looking to buy a home right now, it is a terrible, terrible investment. If you are rich because you just sold all your cryptocurrency and you have millions of dollars, fine, absolutely buy a home. But if you are not, and you are like most other people that are living somewhat paycheck to paycheck or month to month, do not buy a home right now. Continue to invest your money. Don't just save it to try to buy a home. Invest it in smart investments like myself, and that ultimately will lead off to a much bigger payday where you can have a much nicer home than what you potentially could afford today. So hopefully this gives you a good round out view of why I don't believe millennials should be buying a home in 2021. I do believe you should wait. I do believe you should be investing your money though, whether it be Tesla, Facebook, Amazon, or any of these really blue chip stocks, and or some of the better and bigger cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Chainlink. These are products, businesses, in cryptocurrencies that I believe are safe. And so ultimately, guys, your money is better used investing into smart investments, not buying a home. I hope you find this well. If you like this, smash the like button. I hope you share it. Make sure to share these videos and ultimately subscribe. If you're interested in real estate investing advice and you want to work with me personally on coaching, go to thescienceofflipping.com, fill out a quick form. Some of my executive team, my advisors will reach out to you. Feel out if we're a good fit. I would love to be able to coach you and to be able to wholesale you to wealth the same way I'm doing for myself. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.